Look at the evolution of the virus in bats and what's out there now is very, very strongly leaning towards this could not have been artificially or deliberately manipulated. I'm not convinced about that. I think that we should continue to investigate what went on in China until we find out, to the best of our ability, exactly what happened.
The evolution of Dr. Anthony Fauci
that.
flip-flopping on the origins of COVID-19, and when faced with criticism, instead of acknowledging the change in data, he insisted he was the science.
They're really criticizing science because I represent science.
Trust the science.
Sure.
That? All right. Well, despite the former chief medical advisor receiving a pardon from former President Joe Biden, 17 states' attorney generals are opening an investigation into Fauci following a House report accusing him of misleading the public, mishandling funds, and suppressing scientific debate of COVID vaccines.
For more on this, let's welcome in South Carolina Attorney General Alan Wilson. So, Mr. Attorney General, so many things about the pandemic just don't add up. I mean, your state's leading the investigation. What do you actually expect to come out of this?
Well, we don't know yet what we don't know. But what we do know is that when Joe Biden did those 11th hour pardons that preemptively excused Anthony Fauci and all other malign actors in their response to the COVID-19 pandemic 5 years ago, it left a bad taste in the mouths of a lot of people. And I want to send a message to all those people who were pardoned that if the Congress and the Trump administration is able to provide all the states that are on this letter with the information, we are happy to evaluate it to see what, if any, legal recourse we can take, civil or criminal. No one is above the law. And while Mr. Fauci says he represents the science, we represent the law.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, sir, what challenges does the pardon pose when trying to hold someone like Fauci accountable for potential misdoings?
Well, I mean, like I said, it's fact-specific. I mean, there are consumer protection laws on the books here in South Carolina, and there are potential criminal laws that we could be evaluating, but we don't yet know what laws we would be pursuing until we have a specific set of facts. I have looked at the report that the House Select Subcommittee on the response to the coronavirus pandemic. I looked at that report, and obviously there's evidence that he misled the U.S. and the public on the lab leak theory, on the gain of function research funding. He possibly misled us on other things. And so I want the members and the leadership of Congress and the Trump administration to share with the states, because while the federal government and the Department of Justice are prohibited from pursuing potential criminal actions, that the states could be a vehicle of legal recourse, we are not prohibited from pursuing any legal actions that might exist depending on what the facts are. This is not a witch hunt. This is a signal to those people who Biden pardoned. This is a signal to them that no one is above the law, and if the states are able and capable to pursue an actionable fact pattern, we certainly will do that.
So the challenge then for you, because of the pardon, is you've got to find a state law that Dr. Fauci potentially violated or broke. You know, that's really going to be a challenge for you going forward with this, isn't it?
Look, it's not ideal. I mean, the pardons make it more difficult to pursue anybody from committing a federal crime because they've been preemptively pardoned. Not just preemptively pardoned, they were retroactively pardoned going back to 2014, over 10 years ago. But as I travel the state of South Carolina, I'm talking to citizens. They are outraged. They are infuriated on what Joe Biden did, and it makes them believe more now than ever that there was a crime committed. I'm not saying that there was, but the people believe that something is being covered up. Why retroactively pardon someone going back to 2014? And so I felt, basically that I owed it to my constituents, as many of the other attorneys general around the country owed to their constituents, that we at least owe an opportunity for the Trump administration and the Republican-controlled Congress to provide us with any additional information that we could evaluate and potentially consider for legal recourse. Don't know what will happen, don't know what laws we will find were broken, but we could be a vehicle for accountability against people that Joe Biden pardoned.
Yeah, people's lives were changed because the government told them what they could and couldn't do. And with the suppression of the debate of COVID vaccines, we saw many people barred from education, serving in the military, even eating inside a restaurant if they couldn't prove that they took this vaccine. Some were also fired from their jobs. What will your investigation do to ensure that these people receive justice?
I mean, like I said, we're asking the questions. We're waiting to receive the response. We're going to look at the evidence, and we're going to follow it wherever it leads us. I'm going to be working with my colleagues from around the country. There are 16 other states out there with 16 other categories of statutes that we can apply. And we're going to evaluate this, and we're going to pursue and look at every potential course of action we can take. Again, you know, there is such a thing as bad government. It's not criminal government. I mean, I believe a lot of the policies that were implemented during COVID-19 and in the years following COVID-19 were bad for business. They were bad for health. They were bad for science. They were bad for the American people and the people here in South Carolina. You can't prosecute bad government. But if there is some legal action we can take, we will definitely take it.
Yep. Attorney General of South Carolina, Alan Wilson, thanks for joining us this morning.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir. And that does it for us on Wake Up America. National Report starts in just